Hold on, y'all. We're going to get ready. All right, here we go. What's good, everybody? Sean Shala Rosenberg in the building. Back at you with another video. Well, not specifically a video, more like a live stream video. Basically, a live stream reaction video. But yeah, that's what I'm doing. So, well, where do we come to the point where one of the biggest artists in the world, well, former biggest artist in the world, because now he's the bubble bath loser of the world, where do we get to this point? Earlier this morning, well, I think it was last night or earlier this morning, when I was getting ready for work. Then I was gonna do, before I went to work, I was gonna do a reaction video. Shout out to Dupley. He had a reaction video. Well, it was already a video that went viral that artists, well, content creators have already reacted to, which is the 7 levels of rapper. I already seen a lot of content creators did that. I was gonna do a reaction video to a video that he did 5 months ago, which is different types of fan bases in the music industry. So I was gonna do that before I head out to work earlier this morning. But then I caught this. This is what made me mad this morning. Drake took this whole new level of this lawsuit, took this whole new low of this lawsuit to the next level. So Drake is currently having a lawsuit with UMG, over, which is a defamation lawsuit over the diss track Not Like Us during Kendrick and Drake's battle. This dude took it to a whole nother level with this. Now this dude decided to put Kendrick's best friend and his family, Kendrick's family, which is his kids and his wife, involved in this lawsuit. Drake is asking for like domestic violence, documents of Kendrick Lamar's alleged domestic violence, and then he's asking for a DNA test to see if Dave Free is the father of one of Kendrick's kids. But I'm not going to talk any longer. I'm just going to let RapAHolicz explain it. So shout out to RapAHolicz for this video. The title of this video: Drake puts Kendrick's kids in a UMG lawsuit. I was eventually going to do, instead of like breaking this down in court documents, I'm gonna let RapAHolicz explain this, because I think he'll explain it the best. Even though he likes to take jabs at Drake, but let's see what he has to say. So I don't want to hold y'all any further. So without further ado, let's get right into the video.
Yo, shout out to all the 12-year-olds in the building. What's up?
I study rap battles for a living.
Lawbreeze and Gentlegrams, 12 years ago today may remain the day that strained the clay-made soft simping sexy red stunt double. Kendrick's Control verse came out on this day in 2013, and in 2025, the greatest rapper alive has Lawbry suing his record label like the Clips did Jive in 2005. But this time it's on a much bigger plot to connive, because the Canadian courthouse Karen clown is trying to shut any PDF rumor down while also trying to show it was a battle he won. Because Kendrick isn't the true father of his son, Family Matters is where these crazy accusations begun. That was the night Drake's reputation had been done, but has round 2 just begun? And will this lawsuit make every narrative spun? Will this lawsuit really show that it was Dave Free's son? Let's break it all down, the full thing front to back, but first hit that like and subscribe button with a smack. Now Lawbrys and Gentlegrams, this is freaking wild, okay? This adds a whole new layer onto the question that tons of us have been asking. Why did Drake actually file this lawsuit? Obviously it makes him look horrible. You lost a rap battle so bad that you have to sue over the diss song that put your career in a Canadian casket?
Right, that's the thing. That's the whole thing. That's the thing that people's been talking about. Drake, you lost a rap battle. You lost. Instead of taking your L like a man and going back to becoming being the big artist that you are, going back to making hits and just move on from this battle, you took it further by I'm sorry, y'all. I'm trying to get my words in. I'm just so angry and so mad at this. You took it further by filing a defamation law. Well, first, you filed 2 petitions in a lawsuit. The first petition, you try to file that UMG, quote unquote, and Spotify use bots to boost Not Like Us. And then you filed a second petition for a defamation lawsuit defamation because Kendrick called you a PDF file. First, you dropped the first petition, so Spotify is out, but then you go on and file this full-length lawsuit against UMG, but not Kendrick Lamar. You guys, this has been a whole shit show with Drake. I have never seen somebody go out like this and take it one step further. I don't understand. I don't get this move from Drake at all. I just do not get it. Like, why do this? But let's continue.
I study rap battles for a living.
By the way, that's bullshit. If you really study rap battles for a living, you don't file a lawsuit.
Most of us thought, okay, he's trying to sue because if he wins against UMG, they'll let him out of his contract and he can go on to get a bigger record deal for his albums in the future. Other people thought that Drake wanted to expose all the fake streams and the bots that were going on in the music industry. But none of these theories made sense because A, why would Drake sue the record label he's trying to get out of a contract with without demanding in the lawsuit that the form of repayment that he wants is to be freed from this record label that was trying to defame him, allegedly? And B, why would he concoct this lawsuit with the objective of exposing bots and fake streams within the music industry when we know Drake has been the main beneficiary of these tactics with his music in the past?
Okay, so Freddie, you said glazing on Drake is crazy. Just because you read about it doesn't mean you know about it. Will you be okay if someone called you? First things first, I'm not glazing on Drake. I'm calling out his antics. That's what I'm doing. His bad antics. I'm not a Drake. I'm not a. My bad, y'all. My bad. But yeah, to answer your question, but there is kind of like, I'm not saying there's proof of Drake calling that, but you saying glazing on Drake is crazy. I'm not glazing on him. I'm calling out his antics. Okay? And by the way, when it comes to diss records, it's not about digging up information like that. It's based on skill-wise and rapping ability. Kendrick has warned Drake numerous times to keep this competitive, but Drake took it to a whole nother level. And on top of that, I don't know if you guys noticed, but Drake, if you listen to the Taylor Made track, Drake told Kendrick by using the Tupac AI voice to go with that angle. When Drake said by using Tupac's AI voice, talk about him like girls, that's a gift to me. Talk about him like young girls, that's a gift to me. Drake introduced that. That's what he did. He introduced that from the beginning. But anyways, let's continue.
Past. Spotify users were demanding refunds because Drake's Scorpion album in 2018 was plastered onto so many different playlists that it didn't belong onto, all to boost its streaming numbers. If Drake was trying to expose Kendrick for using payola, UMG can flip it all around and say, Drake, the same tactics we used on Kendrick Lamar, we also used on you. So, what was Drake's main goal with this lawsuit? What did he want to gain from it? In leaked DM messages, Drake had told someone that his plan with this lawsuit was to expose the shady business of the music industry and to make it a safer space for artists in the future. But that doesn't make sense because A, with this lawsuit, you're compromising free speech for diss records and just song lyrics in general in the future, and B, the whole making this a safer space for artists in the future, that could relate to the botting and the fake streams, right? Because if big record labels are able to put fake streams on their artists' music, then it hurts independent artists who don't have the budget to put fake streams on their songs. That I understand. But the main point of this lawsuit is not that UMG used shady promotional tactics to spread this song all across the world. The main basis of this lawsuit is the fact that UMG simply released the song in the first place. So in that case, when Drake says he's making this a safer space for artists in the future, what he means is it's going to be a safer space because record labels will have to be more strict than ever on the type of music and lyrics that they actually release because they'll be scared of getting sued for defamation in the future. That doesn't make this space safer for artists. That makes this space safer for record labels because now they could enforce stricter policies on what music they actually release. But with this brand new document that Drake's legal team has just released, where they are requesting tons of information from UMG, including all discussions UMG had with Kendrick and Dave Free about Kendrick's children, it exposes a whole new layer of what Drake is really trying to gain out of this lawsuit, and it's a lot more disgusting than we thought. Drake is trying to show the world through the information that's released within this lawsuit that the accusations he made against Kendrick Lamar in the battle were actually factual, and that the accusations Kendrick made about him were false. He wants to show the world, look, I was telling the truth when I said that Kendrick abused Whitney or that Dave Free was actually the father of this child that the world thought was Kendrick's. Meanwhile, he was lying about me when he called me a PDF and not like us. So if you thought it was disgusting that Drake was requesting Kendrick Lamar's recording contract with UMG, stick around because the rest of the new documents that Drake is requesting are a lot more disgusting and invasive.
I study rap battles for a living.
But if you're thinking this is some big red button that UMG was not expecting, think again, because months ago they actually sent a letter to the judge where they requested that any documents that the judge allows Drake's lawyers to take from UMG have to remain confidential, meaning that the public likely won't have access to see whatever gets exposed in this lawsuit. All of Kendrick's recording contracts, the promotional tactics they used to to boost the numbers of Not Like Us. Or now with this new document that Drake filed, the public won't be able to see, if the judge grants access to this, any communication between Dave Free and Kendrick about Kendrick's children. UMG months ago had cited the court's model protective order, and they said the reason for this alteration is that the parties agree that this case is likely to involve the production of highly confidential or proprietary business information like undisclosed contracts and information that regards people who aren't actually involved in this lawsuit. And the disclosure of all this information would cause significant harm to UMG, to Drake, and to all the parties who aren't even involved in the lawsuit. UMG agrees to hand over any documents that the judge says Drake's team is allowed to collect, but it's on the basis that it stays between the court. It doesn't get released to the public. But let's take a look at everything Drake is requesting. He released a 76-page document requesting 70 plus pieces of information, including not only information relating to Kendrick's children, but also any info about Drake's past and if there was any criminal acts.
Which is disgusting. Information on Kendrick's children is literally disgusting. Like I don't get that. I don't get that at all. Why do you want, like, yeah, it just shows that Drake is trying to dig a deeper hole than he can possibly can to try to see what else he can do. It's like, bro, like, how much more do you want to dig up what you're possibly looking for? Like, I don't like this. I don't believe this. I don't believe that Dave Free is the father of one of Kendrick and Whitney's kids. I don't believe that. Academics even came out right after the battle settled. Academics, which is Drake's biggest cheerleader, came out and said that Drake lied about that. I think Drake is trying to throw at anything he could possibly get his hands on just to prove a point so he can win this battle. And, well, not win the battle. Basically trying to reverse the decision to declare him the winner of this beef and Kendrick the loser. I don't get these antics. I just do not get it with this guy. Like Kendrick said, once a lame, always a lame. But you don't mess with the kids, dawg. You don't mess with the kids. Drake made that full mistake when he on the push-ups when he said I beat with some bodyguards like Whitney. That was the first mistake. I get it, it's a double entendre. I get it, it's a metaphor, like a double entendre. He's referencing the Bodyguard, the movie The Bodyguard that Whitney Houston played in, but it was also Drake did that wordplay because Kendrick's wife's name is Whitney. But yeah, I don't get it. Drake, this is the same thing Drake did with Pusha T. He basically said, I think it was the Duppy freestyle. I totally disagree with Drake's. Sometimes, but what you do expect him? But what do you expect him to do? Let it go? No, this is not. No, I'm not gonna let this go. This is serious because this is involved. Like everything with this lawsuit involves hip hop culture. I don't know. It's just like. This is hip hop we're talking about. Not it was about the hip hop culture, but Drake is like turning this into something way bigger, way big. Like he turns this into something else. But but us as hip hop fans and just fans that just enjoy the music, But this defamation not only involves like trying to get into Kendrick's personal life and his finances and his contract, but this still involves the diss track Not Like Us, and it involves the change in the change in landscape of hip hop. This lawsuit is a matter. Does matter. It may not matter to you, but it matters to me as a fan of hip hop. But let's continue.
Associated with it, and even the email and contact of Screwface John, the YouTuber. Dope channel, by the way. So let's dive into this whole document.
Shout out to shout out to Screwface John. He's been covering this. Dope YouTube content creator and a dope rapper as well. You know, big fan of his channel.
Now, because they're requesting a bunch of things and because this, legal documentation can use some very fancy language, they clarify a few things which will be important for you guys to understand what they're referring to as we go through this piece by piece. So, number one, when they say the word communication, they don't just mean UMG actually verbally communicating with different entities. What they mean is communication is any type of contact or way of sharing information, whether it's in writing, electronically, in person, over the phone. It includes letters, emails, texts, instant messages, DMs, voicemails, social media posts, likes, shares, comments, or any other way of interacting on social media. So that's any type of way of sharing information. Meanwhile, the word document, when they use that, it means anything that simply contains information. So any email, any social media post, text message, internet browsing history, stuff they shared on their social media or to other people in the DMs, anything that they bookmarked on their social media, so like any post that they saved. Basically, Drake wants any form of trace or history that anyone associated in this lawsuit has had with UMG, whether it's online or physically in person. And when they say social media, they're talking about everything from Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, Telegram, so even the decrypted stuff, and a lot more. The word payola also comes up a lot in this lawsuit. So payola, by definition, refers to the illegal practice of secretly paying for radio plays or other promotion, which is banned under U.S. law. Secretly paying for extra spins, essentially. Now, it's also important to note that in Drake's actual lawsuit, a lot of the allegations he makes, he prefaces them by saying this is all upon information and belief. He's not actually stating specific sources. He's saying that we have a reason to believe UMG did XYZ. And because of that, now Drake's legal team is requesting a bunch of these documents from the judge so they can sort through them and see, how to build their case going forward. Like, oh, Kendrick's kid wasn't really his, so that helps our lawsuit because it shows that Drake wasn't defaming Kendrick. He was, telling the truth about Kendrick's family issues. That's why out of the 70 plus things that Drake's legal team is requesting here, these are not things that Drake's legal team is specifically stating. We have proof that Kendrick's kid wasn't really his, or we have proof that Kendrick and UMG used bots on Not Like Us. They're saying, give us the documents that can help us prove that UMG used bots on the song, or that the allegations Drake made about Kendrick were actually true in Family Matters, XYZ. And that's why in this new document it says, if you have nothing, no information relating to the documents we're requesting, then you have to clearly state that you have nothing. Again, showing that Drake's legal team here is not saying we know you have documents where you were talking to Screwface about plans to conspire against Drake. They're just saying we want to see all your communications with Screwface, with Dave Free, with XYZ.
That is crazy. That right there is crazy. And I remember I was watching Screw's video based on this when he got mentioned in the lawsuit. Like, Screw was like, I forgot what Screw said, but Screw said something interesting. I believe Screw said, like, what did Screw just say? As I watched the video earlier this morning, I'm trying to figure Screw saying basically, Screw was basically saying earlier this morning, like, Drake is trying to see if UMG or basically somebody from UMG has been like secretly contacting him or secretly sending some sending like different like alleged like DMs from Twitter. I'm assuming going back like giving Screw like personal information about you know about this lawsuit and about everything related to Drake. Like, come on, Drake. Like, yeah, and I know Screw's been outspoken about this battle a lot, but what Screw says, what ever since Screw's been covering this, there is I'm not trying to say like I'm not trying to say like Screw is high because I don't think Screw has nothing to hide, but Screw has been making a lot of valuable points in covering this battle, especially within the lawsuit. He makes some valuable points on the videos he made. I think Screw talked about how hey, I forgot. I gotta watch that video again to get the info right again. I gotta watch that video that I watched from him earlier this morning. So yeah, I gotta watch it probably on my own time, or probably do a reaction to one of his videos, talking about that. But yeah, I gotta watch that video again. But let's continue.
To help us build our case. Now, certain documents that they request do span back to years ago, like Kendrick's recording contract with UMG, for example, because that wasn't signed in 2024 when the beef happened, but unless they specify a certain date, most of the documents that they're requesting are all information that happened starting from March 26, 2024, all the way up until today. It's important to note, March 26, 2024, I believe that was the day, like that with Future and Metro Boomin and Kendrick, was released, the song that really kicked off this entire battle. So Drake wants to see what UMG's plan has been with Kendrick's team since that day. So, the moment you've all been waiting for, let's start with Exhibit A of the first 18 documents that Lobry's legal team is requesting from UMG.
I study rap battles for a living.
So the first document that they're requesting is all contracts or agreements that UMG has with Kendrick Lamar, his agents, or anyone working for him, especially anything that shows their right to approve, reject, edit, or block the release of his music videos, or other content. Basically, they're trying to show that in Kendrick's contract, there's clear statements by UMG that emphasize that they had the right to reject or block any specific songs or music videos of Kendrick's from releasing on the label. Because again, he's suing them for not just promoting the song, but actually releasing it. Drake claims the song defames him, so he wants to see Kendrick's contract to show the judge, hey look, there's something clearly here stated that if UMG believes this music or music video could be problematic, they had the right all along to block it from being released. The second piece of information that they're requesting is all documents or communications about UMG's approval or permission to release Not Like Us, the cover art for Not Like Us, and its music video. So basically showing that they did in fact approve to release it. Then they want all communications involving Ramon Alvarez Smickle about the song, cover art, music video, or the promotion of any Kendrick Lamar music. Ramon, and sorry for mispronouncing his name, he is the head of digital marketing at Interscope Records. If you look at his Instagram, it contains the cover art to Playboi Carti's latest project. I believe he works pretty closely with Playboi Carti, and of course we know Drake had a couple songs that were supposed to release with Playboi Carti, and they all got cancelled. Meanwhile, Kendrick was on 3 different songs on that new Playboi Carti project. Interscope is a record label under UMG, the same one that is licensing Kendrick Lamar and all of PG Lang's music. So Drake's legal team wants to see any discussions that UMG had with this specific guy who's the head of digital marketing at Interscope about not just the release of Kendrick's song Not Like Us, but any Kendrick Lamar music in general. They're also requesting all documents and communications about payments or...
Wait. Drake... Why? Now all of a sudden you want to go find a digital worker from Interscope to check to see Drake is just trying to find anybody he can possibly see to come to this case and try to prove everything that he's doing is right. I don't get it. I literally don't get this guy.
Reimbursements of marketing funds that were given for Kendrick Lamar or anyone working with him, including Anthony Saleh. Now, Anthony Saleh is someone who works closely with Kendrick, and if you guys remember a couple of videos back, I talked about how Academics actually appeared at the Kendrick Lamar GNX show, and he was confronted by Anthony Saleh, and Anthony Saleh called him out because last year Academics had this random anonymous guy on his stream who had claimed that Anthony Saleh paid him to put fake bots, fake streams on Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us song when it first released. Anthony Saleh said, yo, why would you have this random kid who's full of crap on your stream making up lies about me? Now I'm a part of this Drake lawsuit, and the US government has tried to subpoena my cell phone. AKA Anthony Saleh had to give up his cell phone for the government to go through as evidence in this lawsuit because he was tied to this fake claim about botted streams. Drake had actually removed that specific source and allegation from his lawsuit, the source of that Academic stream where the kid went on and said Anthony Saleh paid him to bot Not Like Us, because in the end, that guy, that anonymous guy, showed a screenshot of an LLC that he had received money from for the botted streams of Not Like Us, and it ended up being something like Anthony Saleh LLC. That LLC does not exist. And Academics had even said that he spoke to people very high up at Spotify, and they said this kid was full of crap. So Drake ended up removing that allegation, that specific source.
Yeah, that is kind of weird. I thought that was your argument, Drake. Why would you remove that? I thought you said that, the guy that Academics was talking to said that he bought it. I think it was 30 million streams, I believe. I think that's what that kid said when Ack was talking to him about that. And then a few days later, Ack went on. He said he talked to somebody from Spotify and said that's BS, and those numbers were real. That is weird. Like, Drake, it's kind of weird that Drake is moving. He's just literally just moving. He's removing different portions of what's been going on with this whole situation with the quote unquote botting them Not Like Us. He's adding new stuff, but removing certain stuff that came out that was false. Like basically, the person representing Spotify saying that whoever said that was false, and they just removed the. I don't know. I don't get how Drake is moving in this. And like I said before, this lawsuit doesn't make any sense.
From his lawsuit, but now he's still trying to retrieve all documents and communications from UMG to Anthony Saleh about payments or reimbursements of marketing dollars for Kendrick Lamar's music. Drake also wants all documents and communications about any accusations, complaints, or reports that UMG received about payola, aka illegal paid promotion, that involved Kendrick Lamar's music. So anytime that UMG had heard that Kendrick's marketing team was using payola to boost the success of Not Like Us, UMG needs to bring that forward. He also wants any documents or communications about anything UMG did or considered doing regarding copyright restrictions for Not Like Us, including changing, removing, or suspending them. What he's talking about here is in his lawsuit, Drake was attacking UMG for whitelisting the copyright of Not Like Us so that reactors can react to the song and keep the money from their videos, their reaction videos. Usually, if a reactor is reacting to a song, whoever owns the copyright to that song is going to take the profits of that reaction video. But in the case of Not Like Us, they whitelisted the song for the first week of its release, aka they let all the reactors make the money off of their reaction videos to Not Like Us, which in sense helped incentivize more reactors to watch the song on their YouTube page, review it, etc., talk about it more. Drake is saying that was wrong. I would say that was the most innovative thing we have seen a record label, a major one nonetheless, do.
Wait a minute. That's kind of funny how Drake will say that's wrong for, UMG to whitelist, basically whitelist the song. But I remember when Drake but not Drake. I mean, I remember this was also happening because shout out to Screw once again. Screw, Knox Hill, and shout out to Bree from Story Mode React. They shown proof that their song, when they reacted to like the Heart Part 6 and Push-Ups, their song got whitelisted too. Not just Kendrick's song, Not Like Us. Drake had songs that were whitelisted as well. By Knox Hill said he got he ended up getting paid through. He ended up making money through the Heart Part 6. I think Screw and Bree from Story Mode React, they shown the proof that they got monetized and whitelisted for push-ups. So how is what UMG? So how is the reactors getting whitelisted for reacting Not Like Us wrong when they reacted to your stuff? Some of them got whitelisted, some of them didn't. They ended up getting either a copyright claim or a copyright strike. So how, like, that don't make no sense. But like I said, Drake is just trying to pick anything he could possibly can, you know, to see if it will stick, to prove his point that he believes he's right and Kendrick is wrong. But let's continue.
To bridge the gap, accept and incorporate this new age of reactors, streamers, and music reviewing content creators into the mold of the industry. Drake doesn't like it because it was used against him. And now he wants any sort of document or communication that UMG had internally about their initiatives to lift the copyright restrictions on Not Like Us in particular. He also wants all documents and communications about the Grammy Awards this year that were connected to Not Like Us. And this includes not only all the communication UMG had with the Grammys, or about promoting the song for a Grammy win or a nomination, because if you guys don't remember, the song was nominated 5 times at the Grammy Awards and it won all 5 awards. But
by the way, great moment. That was a great moment earlier this year. Kendrick swept the whole show at the Grammys. Won best I believe best rap performance, best rap song, best music videos, song of the year, and record of the year. He swept that whole He swept that whole show. He took everything home with that record. And the funny part about that night, you know, it was funny when when DJ Mustard was like, "Get that broom!" And you see Taylor Swift in the crowd, "Sweep," saying "Sweep." That was funny. But that was a moment. Shout out to K-Dot. That was a moment. He like K-Dot said in what did he say on Man of the Garden? I deserve it all. And he truly does. That was a moment.
But Drake is also requesting all communication about the content of Grammy footage, including the clip mentioned in the lawsuit. And that's a clip of Kendrick Lamar going up to accept one of his awards for Not Like Us. And in the background, they were playing the song and everyone in the crowd was singing it in the footage at the Grammys.
Oh, that is true. They did sing it. I did see the footage too. I saw that when he won. You can even hear the crowd at the Grammys chanting A minor. They were chanting that.
But then the footage mysteriously removed the actual song from the footage. So
oh yeah, that's another thing. If you guys go back and watch the Grammy footage from both Record of the Year and Song of the Year, it was edited out because it was removed. Like from the Record of the Year, they cut it off and they just only went strictly to Kendrick. They did the same thing with the Song of the Year. They cut out Diana Ross introducing Kendrick, the winner for the Song of the Year. They cut that part out too. And I know, and Drake and his team, I know they had something to do with that. They probably saw that, complained, reached out to the Grammys and say, hey, You either cut, hey, we're going to add y'all to the lawsuit. We're still going to add y'all to the lawsuit, but we want y'all to cut this out. We want you to cut that portion out of those 2 videos, which is a dumb move. Like, that's the lamest thing. You like, Drake, you're soft and lame for that. Why would you cut out that part? Why would you have the Grammys cut out that part? That don't make no sense. It's just dumb. And Drake, you plain.
You stupid.
You just plain stupid.
First, when you see Kendrick Lamar go up to get his award, Not Like Us is playing in the background, everyone's singing along. A couple days later, mysteriously, the song got removed from that video, so you just see Kendrick Lamar walk up to accept the award in complete silence. Drake wants any communication UMG had with the Grammy Awards of removing that song from that video. Stick with me here because these requests only get crazier, like this one here. All documents and communications about choosing and licensing the song for the Super Bowl halftime show, including decisions about censoring or removing lyrics or other content from the performance. Because, if you guys don't remember, in Kendrick's Super Bowl performance, he says before he plays Not Like Us, I want to play their favorite song, but I know they love to sue.
That was a moment. Hey, Kendrick was diabolical when he said that. You know, when Dot's Angels came out and he said, when they were like, peekaboo, yes, Dot. And Kendrick's like, I want to make a move for a show. I want to perform their favorite song, but you know they love to sue. What song? And they, dun, 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 dun. Yeah, that's that song? Oh, man, I think about it. Oh, no. You know what? I slow it down. Yeah, that part. And, of course, after Kendrick and SZA did because they did Luther and then all the stars. And after that, you know, shout out to Samuel L. Jackson playing Uncle Sam. As soon as, like, when he was interrupted, when Kendrick was like, when Kendrick and the Angels Dots was like, oh no, it's a culture to divide. I'm going to get in on the floor. And they was like, you really about to do it? 40 acres in the music. It's bigger than the music. Yeah, they tried to rip the game, but you can't fake influence. And then he performed it. I was happy he performed that song at the Super Bowl. I was happy. I didn't care about I didn't care if Drake got mad at all. Listen, you lost the battle, you know. And to tell y'all the truth, Drake is literally making this song much bigger than we all thought. He's literally making the song big. It's not you're literally helping Kendrick promote the song with everything that's happening. You're helping it. The reason why the song is getting bigger is because you keep talking about it. You basically, like I said, you're basically helping Kendrick promote his own diss track even more.
And when he sings the song, he removes the word PDF. Drake here wants any communication
Right, because if y'all know, if you look at the Super Bowl, Kendrick never said PDF. They censor that. When Kendrick said certified lover boy, certified they censor it. He never said PDF. He never said it. But yeah. But still, he wanted to add the Super Bowl to the lawsuit. But yeah, let's continue.
UMG had with the Super Bowl about potentially censoring some of the lyrics before Kendrick went up to perform it. They also want all documents showing how Interscope's CEO, John Janik, was paid and how his yearly bonuses were structured over the last 5 years. Because of course, being the CEO of a certain record label that UMG owns, UMG gave John Janik specific bonuses and incentives if the artists under Interscope performed well, right? Like the better that his artists under Interscope performed, the more money John Janik would make. Drake wants to see how that looked in his contracts. Like how much was he incentivized to boost the performance and the success of the Interscope artists? And he wants not just John Janik, the CEO's bonus incentives, but all of Interscope's 2024 bonus metrics, targets, forecasts, and performance results. results. So anything that Interscope had planned with UMG in 2024 in terms of how they would be compensated if their artists did well, Drake wants to see that. He also wants all documents and communications about the May 7th armed attack and the May 8th and 9th trespassing attempts at Drake's home in Toronto. So anytime UMG spoke about that behind the scenes, Drake wants to see those interactions. He also wants...
And by the way, you guys, that, you know, the shooting that took place at Drake's mansion in Toronto, that had nothing to do with Kendrick. Because there was a story going around weeks prior that this is kind of like something had to do with Drake and The Weeknd. Because before Drake and Kendrick's beef kicked off, before the actual diss tracks kicked off, I think it was last year, April 29th, I believe, before Kendrick released Euphoria, The Weeknd's manager, Cash XO, I think XO Cash or Cash XO, his apartment in Los Angeles got shot at. And I think his security guard got hit. I think that's what happened because if you guys remember, when Future and Metro Boomin did their 2 albums, We Don't Trust You, We Still Don't Trust You. I think it was the We Still Don't Trust You album. Weeknd took shots at Drake, basically saying, "I'm glad I never signed my life away." Basically saying, "I'm glad I never signed the OVO." And he kind of, Weeknd took shots at Baca, subliminally saying, "You got your shooters doing TikTok videos." You know, then Drake responded to The Weeknd on Family Matters when he said, if Drake's shooter's doing TikTok, basically your shooter, I think Drake said something like, you know, hey, you got a shooter, your shooter and my shooter, one of my shooters are brothers. And that is true because I think one of Drake's goons, has a brother that's also labeled as The Weeknd's goons. They're cool. They would never go back and forth. Basically, Drake let The Weeknd know, hey, you know, your goon's not going to do anything to me because his brother is one of my goons and they're cool. And yeah, you guys get the whole story. But Drake's house getting shot at, I think that was more like the situation with The Weeknd. I think that was like I'm not saying The Weeknd and his manager had anything to do with it, but it kind of ties into that because, like I said, The Weeknd's manager, Cash XO, his house got shot at a week before, the week after Drake's, the week before Drake's house got shot at. That's what I meant to say. The week before Drake's house got shot at. That's what happened. So this has more of the situation between Drake and The Weeknd. I think Kendrick being added to this, I think that was just like I'm not gonna say it's a coincidence, but you know, I think it's just the timing was bad because at that time after Drake dropped The Heart Part 6, Kendrick was rumored to drop another Response record, but like I said, the shooting took place and that kind of put a stop. That kind of put an end to their back and forth. So yeah, that's the information I ganged up from. I did my research on, did my research on. But let's continue.
Wants to see all their communication about any objections or concerns that they had over Not Like Us or its cover art or music video, all the communications they had about promoting the song on Spotify and Apple Music, what they spent to actually make the song and music video, and what they spent each and every month to promote the song. And that brings us into Exhibit C of what the Sexy Red stunt double rap battling studier is now requesting from UMG.
Hey man, you know RapAHolicz gonna be coming with the jokes, man. Hey, I'm here for it. Even though I'm pissed off about the situation, but I am, but it is kind of funny when like people like RapAHolicz and then Fantastic Hip Hop and Marcus at Work Media be taking jabs at Drake, that'd be low-key be funny. But let's continue.
I study rap battles for a living.
Alright, so Exhibit B starts off with one of Drake's lawyers emphasizing that they disagree with UMG's responses to Drake's initial document request, but that both sides did agree to keep working together during the discovery phase, where Drake's legal team is, in search of these documents, especially in the process of picking whose files they're actually going to search. And one of the big issues is text messages. UMG wants to block any redactions of bundles of text, so UMG essentially wants to show everything in the text messages. They don't want to block anything. When something is being put forth to the judge to review in this case, if it's a text message conversation as evidence, none of that conversation should be blocked. But Drake's team says that phones, especially celebrities, have a lot of personal, unrelated stuff, so they propose that both sides can redact irrelevant content in the text message conversations, but must leave enough context to understand the information that is relevant. Drake's team also says that they requested text messages between 28 different people associated to UMG, but UMG only came back to them with communications involving only 5 of these people. One of them I thought was interesting, Steve Berman, who's the Interscope vice chair, and he's involved with approvals and complaints and is linked back to the 2025 Super Bowl halftime show planning. They also want to clear the air on the definition of payola in this lawsuit and basically come to terms on what they think a fair definition for this word should be, because again, Drake's team is accusing UMG of using payola on the song Not Like Us. So Drake's team here is saying this is what we think payola means, and can you guys just agree essentially? And what that definition is paying or offering value to get more airplay on radio stations without telling the station management. And without telling the station management, then the listeners of radio can't be disclosed that this song is essentially being played illegally, right? Like payments are being made under the table to overplay this song on radio, and radio listeners will have no idea. They then go on to show how back in May, Drake's lawyer wrote to UMG's lawyers and they objected to UMG's refusal to search the files of certain high-level executives at the company. UMG was basically refusing that the following people should be allowed to be searched in this lawsuit. And that would be Annie Lee, Avery Lippman, Boyd Muir, John Janik, again, he's the CEO of Interscope, Lucien Grange, who is the CEO of UMG, Monte Littman, and Steve Berman. UMG says they shouldn't be searched because they're top executives, and Drake's team is saying there's no legal rule that exempts executives from having their documents reviewed, and each of these people likely has important information for the case. For example, Lucien Grange and John Janik and the Littman brothers allegedly approved or failed to block the release of Kendrick's Not Like Us song. John Janik and the Littman brothers also allegedly had financial incentives to promote the song. Lucien Grange, the CEO of UMG, and several other members that Drake's legal team has listed here also allegedly kept approving or promoting Not Like Us after knowing from Drake that it was harming him. And all of them likely took part in contract talks with Kendrick Lamar and Drake. They also emphasized that Lucien Grange was celebrating at the Grammys as the song was being played, even though he knew from Drake that the song was causing harm to him. And they end this portion off by asking UMG to confirm that they'll start collecting all the documents related to these executives. AKA, they want to pull all the files of Lucien Grange and everyone high up at UMG. And this next part's very interesting. Remember how Drake's team emphasized to the judge that during this discovery process where UMG was going to hand Drake's team over all this information, UMG and Drake's team were working together to make this process a little more smooth. So they had some conversations back in May about when these documents would be handed over. And in those conversations, one of the things that came up was UMG asked Drake's team why they wanted the search term GNX. Because again, they're looking for basically any sort of information, social media posts, text message conversations, anything, like we said earlier in this video, related to specific search terms, like Not Like Us, the Super Bowl, Kendrick's Children, Day Free, GNX. So one of them, UMG said, why do you want to know about GNX? Drake's legal team said that because Not Like Us wasn't on Kendrick's GNX album, they want to know if UMG had a role in the decision of leaving it off the album. UMG said they would check if they did have communication about that, but they now refuse to run that check without explaining why. UMG also trolled Drake's team that all the communications about payola, or I should say all the complaints that UMG gets about payola, go to a specific department at the company, and that department found no complaints about payola for the song Not Like Us. Drake's team here wants to know how they exactly searched for whether or not there was payola going on for the song. UMG is saying, we searched this department and they said there was no claims of payola. They also want to know how exactly UMG's data...
Right, like, if there's no proof of payola, then that just shows that these streams were real. Like, yeah, I don't. Yeah, this like I said before, when this lawsuit was initially announced, this lawsuit did not make any, and to this day I stand on what I stand on. This lawsuit doesn't make any sense.
Database for their marketing dollars and budget is labeled. Does it go on a track-by-track basis, like how many marketing dollars were distributed for each song? UMG came back to Drake's team and said they checked a central database for discretionary marketing funds and they found nothing. And they capped this part off by essentially emphasizing that Lucien Grange, the CEO of UMG, is the final decision maker when it comes to publishing and promoting music that could get UMG sued. UMG, on the other hand, objects to this, claiming that Lucien Grange lacks relevant documents to this case. But anyways, regardless of what Lucien Grange has or doesn't have pertaining to this case, Drake is demanding egregious documents from UMG. So let's break down what the rap battle studier is requesting.
I study rap battles for a living.
So before we get on with this, Drake's team defines a couple more key terms. The first one being allegations. And in this case, what allegations means is any claim or rumor, whether presented as fact, opinion, joke, or exaggeration, that says or suggests Drake is a convicted PDF, has been charged with an S crime, engages in S acts with A minors, should be registered as an S offender, hides S offenders at his home, hangs out with known PDFs, or that Kendrick Lamar knows something about these claims. And it's strategic to label any of these claims or rumors as jokes, because again, UMG was initially stating that Not Like Us was hyperbole, right? It was exaggerated truth, or could almost be seen as a joke. Drake's legal team is saying it doesn't matter if it was a joke. Kendrick said it, and Drake's feelings are hurt.
Yeah, that don't make no sense. That's supposed to be, that's a thing in diss tracks. It's supposed to be jokes. I mean, look, when you look at the Nas situation, the Nas and Jay-Z situation, when Nas released Ether, yeah, did he had a couple of jokes? Yeah, he did. That's the thing. That's the whole thing with diss tracks. A lot of people forget diss tracks is not supposed to be proven as fact. It's supposed to be, like I said, diss tracks is based on lyrical ability and skill, not based on digging up information about like your personal life or anything that's outside of music. That's how I look at it. And that's the whole main thing about this. Is Kendrick was trying to keep it friendly. If you guys remember and like that, Kendrick was just being competitive. Drake, on the other hand, took it somewhere else. But yeah, let's continue.
Also the term artificial streaming, which is any way of faking or boosting song play counts, like bots, click farms, fake playlists, etc. Bots are software that acts like a real social media or streaming user, but it's not a human. And whitelisting, which we discussed before, which is allowing someone to use copyrighted material without blocking it or charging them. Alright, so now let's get into every document that Drake is requesting, and there are 70 plus of them, so don't forget to smash the like button. The first request is every document or message from January 1st, 2009 to now, about the allegations. And remember, they defined the allegations.
January 9, 2009? What? Or is he talking about 2009 or 2019? Because I'm confused right here. This is confusing, but let's continue.
As essentially anything referencing Drake being an S offender, hanging out with S offenders, belonging on an S offender list, being a PDF, etc. So Drake here wants any sort of document that UMG has since 2009 about any accusations pertaining to Drake potentially allegedly being a PDF. And he's doing this to show like, hey, look, obviously I'm not a PDF, right? Like even UMG's documents are stating I'm not a PDF, but still they released a song which is singing about me being a PDF. They also want anything given to UMG's board of directors that mentions the song Not Like Us, its music video, the cover art which pictures Drake's house, the allegations about Drake being a PDF, earlier legal actions that Drake filed, or this lawsuit. So anytime the board of directors at UMG essentially discusses anything related to Not Like Us or to this lawsuit. The next document is all documents or messages about social media posts involving Drake, Kendrick Lamar, the allegations, the earlier legal actions Drake filed, this lawsuit, Not Like Us, the Grammys, or the Super Bowl halftime show. They also want records showing every social media account UMG controls that posted or shared anything about these topics. And remember, UMG owns media platforms like Complex. They want any analysis UMG did or hired someone to do about social media activity or engagement connected to these topics, all records about deleting or removing UMG's own social media posts about these topics. And when I say these topics, of course, again, I'm talking about Not Like Us, Drake's lawsuit, the Grammys, the Super Bowl, etc. Because you'll have Complex that will make posts about Drake's lawsuit or about the Super Bowl. They want to know every time UMG posted about that or deleted posts about that. And this one's interesting. They want all documents or messages about posts or comments by Greg Marella, sorry if I'm mispronouncing his name, especially about the deletion of all his posts from Instagram around March 25th, 2025. Again, keep in mind, Like That, the song that started this whole beef, came out on March 26th. Greg Marella was promoted to a high-up position at Interscope Records in around March of 2024, and he deleted all of his posts off of Instagram quite recently. And one of them had said, Kendrick Lamar is an icon. If you love music and understand and respect what it represents, then you know how important Kendrick Lamar and his music are to LA. The last 2 months have brought 12 million people in LA together at the same time. And that post was made in June of 2024, after this beef already happened. Then he wiped his Instagram clean. This is a guy who, again, is high up at Interscope, and Drake is now requesting any documents or text messages about Greg's posts on Instagram and about the deletion of all his posts off of Instagram. They also want, from January 1st, 2020 until today, all the records about A, anyone telling UMG to censor or change a song or music video that UMG controls because of the content in that song or music video, and decisions not to license, publish, or promote a song/video that UMG controls because of the content within it. Because again, after this battle, Drake went to UMG and said, hey, delete Not Like Us. Obviously, UMG did not do that. They kept promoting it, so Drake wants, since 2020, all records of UMG either censoring music or being requested to censor music. This one's pretty crazy. They also want, from January 1st to May 31st, 2018, all records about A, anyone telling UMG to censor or change any Pusha T song/video, including The Story of Added On because of its content, and B, decisions not to license, publish, or promote any Pusha T song or video, including The Story of Added On, because of its content. So basically, anytime someone told UMG to censor Pusha T, and anytime UMG actually decided to do so. And if you guys don't know, Pusha T, in his recent rollout for his latest album with his brother, he was saying that UMG had censored a bunch of his verses that were taking subliminal aim at Drake after the beef had ensued. And The Story of Added On was taken off of YouTube due to a copyright claim from UMG because it used the beat of The Story of OJ, a song by Jay-Z. Pusha T had essentially accused Drake of playing label games trying to censor him anytime he tried to take a shot at Drake. Drake here is trying to turn that around, probably because he knows that UMG really did censor Pusha T back then, to say, hey, you guys censored Pusha T back then, but you refused to do so with Kendrick, so why did you censor one artist but not the other? They also want documents showing UMG and Interscope's monthly revenue and profit from Not Like Us, both the song and the video. So basically all the money they made off Not Like Us. Because he's trying to concoct the narrative that, like, hey, back then, you guys censored Pusha T because I was more of your profitable artist, but now, Not Like Us was making you tons of money, so even though I came to you and said, this song is harming me, you didn't protect me as your artist, you continued to exploit Not Like Us to make more money.
To be honest with you guys, Kendrick Lamar and Pusha T is two different artists. Pusha T is a great lyrical artist, but he doesn't have the mainstream. But he doesn't have that mainstream major push. And I believe Pusha T has always maintained to stay in his own lane. He didn't care about like that lavish pop star lifestyle. He just stayed in his own lane. So it was kind of easy because, like I said, Pusha T is not that. He's a big star, but he's not one of like the biggest artists in the world. So it was easier for Drake to censor him. But for Drake to say you should have also censored Kendrick is wild. Because I don't think Drake keeps forgetting that Kendrick is UMG's second biggest artist behind you. And you really think UMG is going to censor their second biggest artist in the world? No, because Kendrick is known worldwide. I mean, a lot of people claims Kendrick is not, but he is. Kendrick has been in the UK. He's been in Africa. So he's pretty much, he looks pretty worldwide to me. Let's continue.
Money off of it. This one's crazy also to ask for. Documents showing the value of Kendrick Lamar's entire music catalog from January 1st, 2020 until right now, including any valuations UMG did, hired, or reviewed. Basically, Drake is trying to see how profitable Kendrick has been for UMG for the last 5 years. He's also requesting internal UMG records about renegotiating Drake's contract or negotiating a new one from August 1st, 2023 until now, including talks about UMG's leverage over Drake, the value of his music catalog, costs of extending or making a new deal, and messages with Jim Ropo. Jim Ropo is the president of Republic Records, which is a division under UMG, and that's the division that Drake has been signed to. So he wants basically all the records that UMG has about negotiating Drake's new contract, renegotiating his last one, the type of leverage UMG had over Drake, how valuable his catalog is compared to Kendrick's, and messages with the president of the label he signed under. He's also asking for all records about negotiating Kendrick Lamar's current contract with UMG from January 1st, 2023 until May 4th, 2024. And that's important because May 4th was the day before Not Like Us was released, and of course, 2022 was the last time Kendrick was releasing albums on TDE. After that, he went independent with PG Lang, but they did a licensing deal with UMG.
Exactly. Kendrick Lamar is an independent artist. And there's a difference with a major artist and an independent artist. Drake signed and the real reason why, because Drake has a 360 deal and all Kendrick has a distribution deal. Two big artists, but two different deals. Drake is still major, but Kendrick's independent.
So Drake wants to see, before Not Like Us came out, what did your negotiations with Kendrick Lamar look like when you guys had just signed him with PG Lang? They're also asking for all documents or messages with the NFR podcasts and their host about Not Like Us, the cover art, the video, the allegations made in the song, earlier legal actions that Drake took, or this lawsuit in general. Basically claiming NFR was in cahoots with UMG. And if you notice recently, NFR Podcast's Twitter had actually got removed. I don't know what the hell's going on, but Drake is trying to burn everything down. He also wants records showing every license granted for Not Like Us, including on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, the SB Awards, the Pop-Out Concert, Kamala Harris's 2024 rally, and the 2024 Democratic National Convention, because the song was played at both of those political events.
So basically, Drake just wants to know everything from top to bottom. But yeah. Yeah, but this is strange. This is strange. I ain't gonna lie. Beyond strange. But yeah, but I'm gonna have to stop it right here. I noticed I don't want to do like, even though it's a live stream, but I don't want to do the whole video. So I'm gonna probably finish the video on my own time. But I just want to get my take on a few things that's happening with this lawsuit. Yeah, Drake is just trying to dig up anything he could possibly get his hands on. But yeah, but we're gonna stop it right here. But let me know in the comments down below, do y'all think Drake is just overdoing this lawsuit? And also, you think Drake do you think Drake deserves the award for being more delusional than ever? Just put it down in the comments down below. So I'm gonna end it right here. And like I said, the real reason why I did a live stream to this, because it's better than doing a reaction video, because like I said, when I make my videos, I like to keep them no more than 30 minutes. I like to keep it less than 30 minutes. So this was a long video, so I was like, you know what, let me do a live stream to this instead of doing the video. But I'm grateful you guys were able to come on the live stream. I really appreciate you. Like I said, I'm gonna finish reacting this to my own time, just like you guys should finish the video on your own time as well. But yeah, we're gonna end it right here. So thank y'all for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Also, like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it. Also, follow me on my social medias above my head. If you guys notice, I did change around the edit, change around how I got the editing set up. It'll be better that way, because I kind of like it doing it this way instead of like a whole big screen. And just with the video and then my social media is above. So I decided I'm just gonna keep it like this for now on. This is like the permanent thing that I'm going to be doing with how I record my videos. So thank y'all for tuning in. So without further ado, oh yeah, join the Discord as well. Link will be in the description down below. So without further ado, see you guys in the next one. Deuces.